Okay, so let's continue. So now I want to define the space of the status bar. I'm not just going to place my logo at the edge. So I would not just placing it anywhere in the frame. I have to make sure the spacing I'm giving here is well defined. So I'm going to be using my red square method. I can go with 24 or 32. So let's go with 32. So I'll place 32 here so that I'll be able to know the spacing I'm leaving for my status bar in case I want to drop my status bar. So in this case, you can extend this red square this way, this way. So in case you want to place another element. So here we're making use of the height of the red square for our spacing, or better still, you can just leave it the way it was so that you won't be confused. So here I'm placing my logo at the tip of the red square. Then I'll also get my hamburger menu. So I'll come to my icon pack to get my hamburger menu. So with selecting one, so I'll just go with this. So I'll copy this. Now right click and paste it here. So I'll color it white so that it will be visible. So I'll color this white. So I'll make sure these two, they are well aligned together. I'm kind of feeling this hamburger menu is too small. So let me just reduce the size of the logo first. And this size here is 24. So let me align both of them again. And make sure the bounding box of both of them is touching the tip. What I mean by bounding box is this blue line that is around the two elements. So I'll make sure it's touching the tip of the red box, red square. So now we have our logo. So now we're done with this, we can remove it. So the next thing now is for us to bring in our text. So I'll just copy this. I'll group them together. Now bring it. I'll duplicate this. So I'll reduce the size of the font because the font is very big. So this is a responsive version. So the font size is not supposed to be big like the way it was on the desktop. I need to reduce the bounding box. So let me see if I can change the font type. I'm changing the font style. So I'll just reduce this here. So the font size here, we'll go with 48. Let me make it 56. Make it more bold. And I want to get my line height. I'll do 56 multiply by 1.5. Get my line height, which is giving me 84. So whenever I'm doing my line height, I always use the number or the font size multiplied by 1.5, or you can get any number at all that is divisible by 4, 2, or 8. So it also works whichever way. So I'll just adjust this together. So I'll just group these two together. Then I'll adjust. So I'm not just placing it anywhere. So I'll have to make sure that the spacing between these two elements, the spacing between the header and this hero text, this header text here, headline text rather, I have to ensure that they have spacing between them that are also divisible by 8. So you can make use of your red square method, but let's make use of auto layout. So I'll click on this, hold down shift, click on this. You can make use of auto layout, or if you select this, hold down your shift, select the second one, then look over here, you see 42. Then you can reduce this to 40, whichever spacing you want to use. But all these numbers, they are all the same numbers in my red square method. They are all divisible by 8. So I will reduce this to 32. So that's the spacing between them. So when designing either a responsive version, whether for dashboard, web apps, or whatever, you have to ensure that the spacing you're giving between each element is consistent. So don't come to this place, give this one an odd number, come here, give it an even number, then go to another place, guess one number and just add. So one thing that is going to make your work to be very neat is if you don't guess the numbers that you are using. You don't just guess number. I was making that mistake when I first started. I will be guessing the numbers I'll be using. So that's why I make use of my red square method anytime I want to specify the spacing I want to use for my design. I first of all start my red square method here. The first box has a width of 8, height of 8. The second box has a width of 16 and a height of 16. So I keep on adding 8 to each number till I get to 48. So why I'm doing this is to like visualize the spacing I'm using so that I will not start guessing. So if these numbers are too big, you can decide to go lower. If this is 8, you can decide to start with 4. There are some scenarios you might want the spacing between two elements to be very small. You can go with 4 or 2. So whichever. So you don't just guess spacing. You need to make sure you have a standard that you are following for your spacing so that it can make your designs to come out right. So your design might be okay, but your spacing might make it to look off if it's not being done well. So I'll just duplicate this one here. So I'll duplicate this, bring it over here. So I'll reduce the size of that font. Let me change the font style. Make it a lighter version, then reduce this to 24 or 18. Let me start with 18. I can use 16 too, but let me use 18 first. If 18 is too big, I'll reduce it to 16. I hope everyone is following. If you are following so far, say something in the chat section. I know we are very few in today's class. If you are following, if you can hear me clearly, you are following so far, say something in the chat section. Okay. So here I'm going to increase the line height because I feel the text. So let me show you what I'm trying to do. So I feel the text here, they are joined together. So I'll come here and I'll increase the line height. So I'll use 18 multiplied by, I'm using asterisk for my multiplication. 18 asterisk 1.5 is giving me 27, which is an odd number. So let me go with numbers that are divisible by 8. I'm using 32. So I'll place it here. So 32 spacing is okay. So another thing is the spacing between this text and here. So go with 16. I don't know, I'm feeling the spacing here is too much. So let me reduce the line height of this both text a bit. So let me give it 56 plus 8. It's giving us okay, let me just leave it the way it is. So trying to make sure the text is okay. So I'll leave it at this and ensure the spacing between them is 16. So you can also make use of auto layouts. So the next thing now is the buttons. So I'll just group the whole of this and just bring it to the mobile version. So click on this, hold and shift. So just group all of them together. So I'll keep it here. So I'll make the button to stack on top of each other. It's not going to be the way it was on the desktop version of the website. So I'll just ungroup it. Ungroup the whole of this. So let me just change the font size and font style. So here, so this is a I want to reduce the size of this button. For the desktop, it was 77. So for the mobile, I want to reduce it to 48, reduce the corner reduce to 10. Reduce it and group the whole of this. So the font size, let me change the font size. Let me change the font style and the font size. Font size here, make it 24. Let's make it 20. So one thing you need to know, despite the fact this is a button, you need to know the spacing you're giving by the side. So let me show you what I mean. So so this is our text here. So now I'm going to bring in our red boxes. So here we have 40. Let me go with 48. So I'll just duplicate this. I'll keep this 48 by the side here. By the side here. So you see what I'll be doing in a sec. Keep this here. Then, oh, I'll just leave it the way it was. I'll just duplicate this, keep it here. So I'll make sure this text is in the center this way. You can see now it's in the center. Figma, if you want to know your elements are in the center, Figma has these guiding red lines that shows you that your element is in the center. So I will increase the binding box of this text to touch the red square this way. So this method of creating button comes in handy when you are creating your buttons for your design system, because there are some scenario that the text you might be entering inside your button, which is like I'm talking about the button label. There's some scenario that the button label might be bigger than, if let me show you what I mean. So let me just group the whole of this so that you understand what I'm trying to explain. So I'll just group this now. So this first button here, we have higher. This second one, we can decide to make it, if it's button that we're creating for our design system, we can decide to make it get started. Get started. So you can see the characters of this text. Sorry, let me change this. I made a mistake here. So you can see here the character of this text here, the numbers of character here and the numbers of character here is not the same. So whenever you're creating button for your design system, you need to like give that breathing space so that in case the label of your button you're adding is like the characters are much, there will be enough space. So that's why I extended the bounding box of the text. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to explain. If you understand what I'm trying to explain, say something in the chat section. Okay, so okay. Some people say they don't understand. So what I mean by bounding box, this was how what I mean by bounding box is this blue line. I don't know if you can see this blue line around this text, this higher me. If you don't know if you can see this blue line, that's what I mean by bounding box. So here was our red square method. The boxes we created from our red square. The size of this box is 48. This other one is 48. So I placed it by the side. So remember, this the whole of the buttons, the button height is 48 because it's a mobile button. So formerly it was 77. I had to reduce it to 48 so that it will not be too big because this is a mobile version. So I made it 48. You can make it 56, but I just want it to be 48 here. So I extended this to make sure the button is seated on the grid. So I placed this 48 bread box by the side, then I increased the bounding box. So I said this method of increasing the bounding box like this of the text comes in handy when you're designing your buttons for your design system, because most times you might be reusing a particular button. So you have to increase the bounding box of the text so that whenever you enter any text at all, the button is going to fit, everything is going to fit, even the label is going to fit. Somebody is saying he can't see my screen. Please, if you can see my screen, please say something in the chat section. I want to confirm if he's the only one having the issue. Okay. So somebody, the person that is saying you can't see my screen, maybe it's from your network. So now, so I'll just change this to my story. Then I'll remove these boxes. So you can place the boxes there, or I'll just remove them. Now ensure all this is grouped together. So I'll just remove this one quickly. Then I'll bring this to front. So I'll right click, bring to front to make sure it's placed on top of the button. Make this -12 for consistency's sake. Reduce the size of this to 24. It's not supposed to be very big. And just place this here. I'll group. So for this, I'll bring the mic here. Delete this. Right click, bring to front. So this is an emoji. So I'll just change the. So an emoji is the text. So I'll just change the text. So I'll change the size. How to reduce the size of an emoji? Emoji is a text, so it has the same property with your normal text. So if you click on this emoji, what will appear is the font name, all the property that a text has. You see it here in an emoji. So I want to reduce the size. I will just come here and type 24. So place it there. So I'll ensure everything is grouped together. So now these two buttons, I have to ensure the spacing between both of them. So right now, just since I've grouped the whole of this, I'll right click and put it in a frame. Right click this and put this in a frame. Then I'll click on this and this, then right click to add auto layout. So let's use auto layout now for this spacing. Right click, add auto layout here. So you can see here, I'll just use 24 or I'll use 30. So that the spacing between them will be enough. So that when somebody is tapping the first one, they will not mistakenly tap on the second one, because on mobile, the user interacts with elements with their hands, not with mouse. So you need to make sure the two buttons has breathing space. So when somebody is tapping on this first one, they will not mistakenly tap on the second one. So let me just increase it a bit to 40. Right. We'll come back to it to go through it again. If it's too big, we will reduce it. So I'll just put the whole of this in a frame. This first one that we grouped, right click, put it in a frame, then use auto layout for this too. Add auto layout 16 here. So this and this 24. So I'm adding auto layout too, so that all the spacing will be consistent. So the next thing now is this image we'll have here. So I'll just duplicate this, Ctrl D, bring it here. And I'll reduce the size. I'm even thinking this image should come before this text. So let me see if that works. I'll just remove this here and bring this image here. And I'll make sure the image is sitting on the grid. And I'll increase it here like this. So also ensure the spacing is okay. So I'll use 32 for the spacing. And I'll bring this under the image this way. Kind of feeling the image here is big, but let's just leave it the way it is. So I'll just click this ensure the spacing is 24. I'll just use 16. So next thing now is to add this glue. So this glue, I'll just duplicate this, bring it inside. So I'll copy. Sorry. So I'll just copy this and come here and paste. I think I'm not copying it right, so let me do that again. So come here. This stuff is, sorry, let me remove this. So I can see. Okay. So let me just copy this. Paste it again. Then ensure I take it to the back. Right click, bring to front. Then this, make sure this is at the front. Right click, bring to front. Right click, bring to front. So I want to make this circle to glue. So I'll just click on it here. Then come down here, effects, use background blur. I'll increase the background blur to 100. Then reduce this a bit. So I'm going to increase it again. Okay, it's layer blur instead of background blur. Layer blur. Guys can have that blurry effect. So here you can see the color is blur, so I can reduce the shape. So I'll reduce it, or you can spread it out, whichever. So let me just leave it this way for now. Let me see how it looks without the grid. Okay, so you can see the circle is having this blurry effect. So let me get another color from this web version. So I'll copy this, then come here. So you can see how this blurry effect is like making the design to look more visually appealing. So I'll right click and bring this to front. Then I'll come back again to my effect. Instead of drop shadow, I'll use layer blur. Then I'll increase the layer blur to 300 to make it very blur. Let me see how it looks here. It's having this kind of glow effect. So I'll just reduce it a bit. I want to reduce the percentage of the color. So I want it to be there, but I don't want it to be very visible. So I'm reducing the percentage of the color to 42, but the layer blur is still there. So the next thing now is this stuff that looks like banner here. So I'll just duplicate this. So I'll paste it here and use my scale tool to scale it down. I'll just scale it a bit and just place it here. So also make sure that the spacing between the two, so the spacing between them is 56, and 56 is also divisible by 8. So I'll leave it there. So the next one now is this about me section. So I'll copy this to group it and place it here. I'll just duplicate this, place it here, duplicate this image. I'll just select all of them, then group it. And I'll use my scale to scale it down. Then here, I'll duplicate this here. Then reduce the size of the font. I'll reduce the size of the font to 16. Let me change the font style. Changes it to 18. I think the one we had at the top is 18. So let me confirm the sizing I used here. Okay, this is 18. So I'll just use the same font size here. 18, 32 for the line heights. So I'll make sure the same font size we gave to this one. We'll repeat the same one here, or even make it a little bit lower. I'll give it 48. So I'll just change the font style to this, then make this 48. Now make this to be bold. Then reduce the bounding box. Then here, reduce the line. Make sure is directly under the font. And the spacing between the text and the font. Make it 8. Then I'll group it, centralize it, align it to the center. Then I'll place this, ensure that the spacing between this and this, let me ensure that this is in the center. Spacing between this and this. I will use 48. And I'll place this. Let me on my grid so that it will help me to place my elements. Please, can you hear me clearly? If you can hear me clearly, say something in the chat section. Okay, okay. I was thinking I was not being heard. So here, I'm still filling this text here is two joints together. So I'll increase the line height so that each line of text will have breathing space. So make sure it's seated on top of the grid. Let me reduce it to 40, the line height to 40. So I'll just leave it this way. Then the spacing between this and this, use 32. Let me see how this looks when it's centralized. Let me just leave it this way for now. So now the next thing now is this part. So for this will just stack on top of each other. So let me show you what I mean, because this is a responsive version. So this is already in auto layout. I'll just keep this down. Then reduce the spacing between each element. So let me ungroup all of this. Okay, there's a line here. I'll right click on the line and change it to vertical. Let me rotate it. I want to rotate it very well. So I'll be dropping the link to this file on the Discord channel. So let me just do that now. Let me drop the link because anywhere I stop, you take the remaining one as classwork, you complete it. So this is very easy to do. Let me just drop the link. Okay, I'll be doing that later. So let's just continue. So I'll duplicate this here, then use my auto layout to space it. So click on this first one, hold down shift, click on this, click on this. I'm still holding down shift, click on all of them. Make sure they're aligned to the center. Then I'll right click, do Ctrl Z again. Then I'll right click, add auto layout. And the spacing between them 48. So all these spacing numbers I'm choosing, remember I'm not choosing them randomly. They are all numbers that are divisible by 8. If I want to go lower, I'll use numbers that are divisible by 4. So they are all in the same family. So I'm not just guessing any number. That's one thing you should know about spacing. I'll drop a link on the Discord channel. So now I will select this. I've already given spacing between these two, 48. These two, there's spacing between them. Then this and this, the spacing between them, I'll use 56. So far, do anyone have any question? So this we have designed to this point. So it's remaining this project, company I have worked, and this footer. So I've dropped a link to this file on the Discord channel. So you copy this to your own to a fresh Figma file, and you complete it. Then you submit the link tomorrow. Tomorrow is Saturday. So once you're done with the link, you just with your classwork rather, you just submit it on the Discord channel or send it to my DM on Discord so that I can review it and go through it and make correction on the file. Please take note of this classwork. Oh. Despite the fact we have just 8 people, let me see the numbers of people we have on today's class. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think is it just 4 people? I'm seeing just 4 people here. We just have 4 people. So I'll be expecting 4 Figma links tomorrow. So you take the remaining part as classwork. So far, do anyone has any question? Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me see the total people in our class. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We just have 6 people into this class. Need 6 people. So we're expecting 6 classwork. So far, do anyone have any question? So in the answers of, okay, let me see if somebody has a question. Okay, so in the absence of any question, we'll call it a day. So the remaining part of the, okay, Ayomide Samuel, you see you have a question.
Okay, good evening, ma'am.
Yeah, good evening.
I'm sorry, I joined the class late. I was trying to come in, but I think at that time the link was not yet available. So I wanted to ask that if I wanted to beg or plead that please if the video can be made available early on the YouTube so that I'll go through it and be able to do the assignment.
Okay, that's fine. So latest tomorrow evening, but I think it will be available tomorrow. The video on the YouTube channel will be available. So that will be all for today's class. So remember, there's also another assignment. There's also on the LMS. So that one is for, we already talked about that one. I think the submission date for that one is on Sunday. So that one is a promotional tax. It's very, very important. Very, very important. And also take this classwork I gave in today's class, also take it serious. So that will be all for today's class. So remember to reach out to me if you have any issue, whatever, either in design or maybe a design block or whatever. If you have any issue at all, always feel free to reach out to me on Discord. So that will be all for today's class. So see you in our next class.